sending money for his daughter to go to college for an education. Letters by the dozens to his friend in Pennsylvania. And so he lived out the rest of his life in Honduras. He stayed there. He remarried. He never came back. His daughter went to college. He paid for it all. The entire story of this can be found to this very day if you go online and you look up the Masons Lodge in British Columbia. They have the entire documents available for the whole thing, the whole story.
Wow.
It's so funny. It's like when you know where to look and you know how to do the research, like I said, the fact is so much better than the fiction, right? So the ghost that resides in the Masons Lodge, as far as we can tell, is this young girl. It is not the Mason that had, written the tell-all book. But the story is just so much fun, right? When we used to tell the original, like the real story, we would tell the ghost story. We would say, this is what happened, but here's what really happened, right? And people would be like, oh my God, it's so much, it's so cool to be able to find these things. Like, let's give the guy $300, send him on his way, make him go.
That's
he had
fantastic.
to turn his manuscript. He had to turn his manuscript over to the Masons, which he agreed to do. And he gave it to them. So today they still have that book. And you can see it online. You can actually go online and you can read his book, The Tell-All of the Masons. It's pretty hilarious. So, again, attached to Niagara on the Lake. So, fun story. Another one with a completely, I find, way more interesting real ending to it than the partial story. Yeah, because they always end the story at dragging the river and the body being found, and, nobody ever tells the rest of the story. But I think nobody knew the rest of the story until we started digging it up. And we literally found all of this information and these letters and the whole story. And it was just like, this is so crazy. It's so much fun. So, yeah. So there's another Niagara on the Lake story for you with a ghost. And the building is indeed, like I say, I'm sure there's more spirits in that building. The Masons Lodges tend to be quite active. I think some of these Mason guys just, they never want to go away. They just want to stay.
That's
but
awesome.
So, Ian, where else have you been in Niagara on the Lake? Like, have you done more investigations at other locations?
Well, we've got one coming up. Not really an official investigation because it's going to be outdoors.
Okay.
And we're waiting until we get closer to maybe Halloween time, just so that there's not so many people around to contaminate.
Yeah, it's pretty busy right now.
Our audio and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about is what I call the Dead Zone Gazebo.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the gazebo that is located in the Queens Royal Park, right down by the lake. Mm-hmm. And so, Rachel, Niagara on the Lake was the filming location for the Dead Zone movie in 1983, based on the Stephen King book.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And the house in that movie.
Yeah, there's the church rectory house was the house that they used for, that was the main house in it.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you know Niagara on the Lake and you watch the movie, you sit there and start yelling out, "Oh, look, there's that place, and there's this location."
I do that with New Orleans stuff all the time. I'm always like that with New Orleans. Yeah. Or Hamilton.
Anyways,
I bet you get a kick out of it in a way, sort of seeing everything there, so.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this gazebo was, of course, it was in the book, and this prop was made for the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a prop; they built an actual real gazebo, which when the filming was completed, the production company donated the gazebo to the town of Niagara on the Lake.
Yeah, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's still there today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little gazebo. It's a beautiful park. And so, but then, what's the ghost story? And
what's the ghost story?
People say, oh, well, the gazebo is haunted because it's from the Dead Zone movie. Now, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Just because it's not a haunted movie.
That's the movie. It was a set. So what's the deal?
Oh my
with
goodness.
ghost stories? Well, what
Right.
I believe is it's because of the land it sits on.
Of course.
And where it sits
Okay.
is in the park, and it's called Queens Royal Park because there used to be a hotel on that location.
Yeah, there was
suitably
also, if I
called
can
Queens Royal
interject,
Hotel.
there was also steamship docks there as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this hotel was built in 1868.
Yeah, it was a
and
beautiful
for the
hotel.
time, it was a luxurious first-class hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it closed due to the economic downfall that was caused by the First World War.
Yeah.
And the hotel never financially recovered from that downfall. It fell into disrepair and was demolished at some point in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the ghost story is that there's an apparition of a woman who wears a long white dress who has been seen standing inside this gazebo from the Dead Zone movie. And
how interesting is that?
the story that I've heard is that this woman and her husband were guests at the hotel, and the husband drowned in Lake Ontario in a rowboat accident. And this woman was so grief-stricken that she went and she drowned herself in suicide. And that's the story, is that people say that they see this woman waiting inside the gazebo for her husband to return.
Yeah.
Which, funnily enough, at the time would have been right around where the hotel faced onto the lake, where there was a big, I want to say like a porch or a vestibule, outdoor vestibule, so you could watch the lake. And it kind of makes sense that if she was standing on that at that time, that she might return back to that location, which just happens to be where the gazebo is today.
Right.
So, one of those coincidental.
Yeah, so that's something that's on our radar, that maybe next month, as the weather gets colder and, as I say, as the people disappear, that we can get there and try to investigate things without having noise contamination.
Too many people. Yeah, it's a very busy location, that park, but it was really, and that sort of goes with the Fort Mississauga as well. Such a shame. Now they are actually going in and doing restoration work there, and I'm so happy about that, because
they
this
are.
fort,
yes, I've seen photographs. They put a whole brand new roof on the building. It looks beautiful.
It does, and it was a really cool spot, because this fort it's late to the game. It wasn't there during the War of 1812 per se. It came later, but it's a 5-star point fort. I don't know if you knew that, Ian. It's one of the few that we have, right?
Yes.
So if you look at it from Google Earth and you look down on it, you can see its original shape. But the tower is such a cool spot where the cannons were and how they had all that. But originally on that spot was a lighthouse. Did you know that?
Mississauga Point Lighthouse.
Yeah, Mississauga Point Lighthouse. So the fort is actually partially made from the brick of the old lighthouse as well. So the tower and everything they've kind of used, they sort of just reuse some of the brickwork there. But yeah, I'm very happy that they're going in and they're doing that work to it, because I've gone in there just casually. I've never done a investigation in there. Now, the weird thing about this fort is, Rachel, it's at the back of a golf course. So in order to get there, you actually have to walk across the golf course greens to get to the fort.
Yeah.
So
dodging golf balls all the way.
Yeah, dodging golf balls along the way to get to the fort. It's kind of crazy.
I do like that.
But the fort itself is a really interesting spot. Now I've gone in there and I've gone in and it's been very quiet, because most people don't go there. It's not. It's very small. It's a very small fort. Most people don't go in there. When I go, almost 9 times out of 10, there's nobody else there. and so you kind of can walk through it all and go through the tunnels, and they have some tunnel works that go out to the water, and you can walk through them, and then you're out on the water side of the fort on the outside. But I've gone in there and I've gotten names. I've had sort of, things come up, and I can't really place who they are. I don't want to say they're soldiers. I don't know who they are, but I've often been given names, and I've never been able to find any historical connection with some of the names that I've gotten. Often it's just first names that I've been given. Yeah. So I wonder if it's just people that had been stationed there. It is very tiny. I mean, the barracks there, if that's what you want to call them,
yeah,
they're really small. It's still a really cool spot, though, right? And I think that's sort of the beauty of Niagara on the lake too. And then you may agree or disagree with me on this, is the fact that it has a lot of historical, it still has a lot of historical value in terms of buildings and properties that are there. I'm really happy that they're redoing. Somebody purchased and is now renovating the oldest property still left standing in Niagara, right? And
the Breckenridge House.
Breckenridge House, yeah. It is a genuine Georgian-style wood frame house, and I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going with a heritage. Did they get a heritage designation for it, or do we know? I haven't had a chance to look into it.
I believe once or during the restoration, they're actually trying to get it.
Okay, because I know that.
I think once the restoration's done, I think they want to really try to slap it with a historical designation. Yes.
Right, and there's a difference between heritage and historical, right? Just for people who don't know the difference, if you get a heritage designation on your home, you're really limited to what you can do. You have to, all of your renovations have to essentially fall within the parameters of the time period of the home. So paint colors, the way things are done, it gets very expensive because things have to be handcrafted and hand done. The interior of the house, while you're allowed to, of course, upgrade it to modern electricity and plumbing and all of that, you're still supposed to try and stay within that heritage designation. It gets super expensive to do that. So having a historical designation after the fact is because it's based on the land and the significance of it, right? But having a heritage building and listed as such. I have a friend who owns a heritage property in Richmond Hill, and it's a really unique home. It is a beautiful old 1830s two-story Victorian Gothic with a cupola at the top, and it's, like a closed-in widow's walk, essentially, but it's a cupola or a cupola, however you want to call them. Now, their thing was on the inside, somebody had already kind of done a mishmash of renovation, not well. So when they were going to have to redo, they had to apply, and all of their renovations had to be, within certain parameters. So she said it got super expensive. But when they had to redo the roof of the cupola, they found out that the original roof was made from copper.
Oh.
Yeah, it cost them $30,000 to re-roof just the cupola because they had to keep it within that heritage designation. So that's what I say. It's beautiful to have that heritage designation unless you're the person having to renovate. So you got to have very deep pockets. But I'm gonna look forward to seeing what they do. I hope they don't change the property too much. That house has been sitting empty for 30, 35 years at least.
Oh, I think it's closer to 60, actually.
Maybe, yeah. It's been a long time. So I'm sure the damage, the water damage and everything inside is probably quite substantial. But it'll be interesting to see it. And I mean, it kind of always sat there just so bedraggled for so many years, and you would drive by it all the time and go, I wonder what's going to happen with that house, because you never saw it for sale, and you never saw it, too many